All right, so in today's video, we're going to be covering retatrutide. It's one of the most powerful GLP peptides that we have to date. And I wanted to make this guide because it's so popular, but most people run it incorrectly. They get a ton of side effects from it, and it's basically their fault. If they actually just had the right protocol and they understood how the drug actually worked, with the half-life of the drug, the peak times of the drug, and just how to manage it and space it out over the week, it would be a lot more manageable. You can get crazy results with this compound. I ran this personally. Everything that I have learned, I've applied to my clients, so we've gotten some crazy results. I lost 20 pounds of fat in 90 days. My clients, Jeremy and Alberto, they both lost a significant amount of weight, went from 185 to 160, and then 200 pounds down to 160. In this video, here's exactly what you're going to be getting, all right? This isn't going to be a science-based lecture understanding how each molecule works in the drug. No, that's not what this is going to be. This is actionable advice that you can apply to your own life, apply it to your next cut or a muscle building phase, because this drug can be used in both phases. And for longevity as well. Once you get down to a low enough body fat percentage, you should have a significant improvement on your blood work running it long term. By the end of this video, you're going to know why retatrutide hits harder than tirzepatide and semaglutide, which were the first drugs designed. And then you're going to understand how to dose and titrate without wrecking your appetite, your energy, or your muscle. A lot of people lose a shit ton of muscle when they start taking this, and that's not optimal. The optimal goal is to drop as much fat as possible and retain as much muscle as possible. So you're going to understand how to handle all the side effects, whether that be nausea, fatigue, or some of the gut stuff that happens, how to keep your muscle, what blood work actually matters, what markers that you should be tracking, and how to come off without rebounding and gaining all the fat back. They'll take this, drop all the weight, then they'll come off, and the hunger comes back 10 times harder, and they just pig out and gain all the fucking weight back. So that's something that we're going to avoid here. And you're probably here because you want to lose some fat and you want to do it the most painless way possible. You've heard Reta is one of the strongest peptides out there and you want to know if this is kind of worth it. Or you're on it now and the nausea and the fatigue is just absolutely kicking your ass. This is dropping, but you're scared it's muscle and not just fat. You want a real dosing protocol that maximizes fat loss and muscle retention at the same time. You want to come off one day and just not gain all the fat back. One of the biggest mistakes people make is they take way too much. They start way too high, they move up their dose way too quickly, or they're taking it once a week, they're not going by the scale in the mirror, and they're just titrating up their dose just because that's what they see on paper that you're supposed to do. And that's just not the right way to run this compound. Let's talk a little bit about how retatrutide actually works. We're not going to get too deep into the weeds here, but most GLP-1s, they hit one or two receptors. Retatrutide is going to hit three. Semaglutide was one of the first designed peptides, and that works on the GLP-1 pathway. Tirzepatide works on two, GLP-1 and GIP, and Reta's the GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon pathway. So the GLP-1, that's the one that's going to be responsible for killing your appetite, makes your stomach slow down, tells your brain you're full, and it shuts off that food noise. So you're not fighting yourself so much with the diet. As for the GIP, that's going to improve your insulin sensitivity and help your body handle the food that you eat. Tirzepatide beats semaglutide all day long because it's got two instead of one. And then the glucagon, that's the difference. This is the one that's going to burn energy at rest, and it's going to pull stored fat out for fuel. That's what makes this compound the king of them all. Reta makes you eat less and burns more fat on top of it. That's why it's one of the strongest fat loss drugs on the market, but a stronger drug cuts two ways. You can have more fat loss, but you also have more room to lose more muscle. So it comes at a trade-off. Let's go into the retatrutide human trial data. This is important data because you can go online, find some dosing protocols on Reddit, find them on forums, see what's recommended by people. But if we take a look at the actual human data trial, it's dosed once per week, anywhere between 0.5 milligram up to 12 milligram weekly. This study was done at 80 weeks. 4 milligram weekly was the target dose for this group, and it lost around 19% body fat. Another group was studied at 9 milligrams per week, and they lost around 25.9% body fat. And then at 12 milligram, they lost 28.3% body fat. This is absolutely game changing. There's no other drug that exists on the planet right now that is able to get this amount of fat loss from one drug alone. Now, my retatrutide protocol is completely different from what you see in the human trials. And there's a reason for it. And the first is side effects. Okay, so let's go into the list of side effects that these people experienced. In phase 3 in the obesity trial, there's around 2,339 people. The main thing to look at is you're able to avoid avoid nearly 50% of the side effects if you just stay on the lower end of the dosing versus going up to that 12 milligram range. When I hear people running 12 milligrams, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you do not need that much. You're just asking for problems, especially if you didn't start from 0.5 milligram or 1 milligram a week and you started at 2, you started at 4. Yeah, you're fucking around and finding out. That is the pure definition of experiencing the worst side effects possible from these drugs. They are extremely powerful, but you have to know how to use them correctly. You can't just jump into this blindly and think, oh, it's just a couple milligrams, it's not going to do that much. No, you could send yourself to the hospital if you don't do this correctly. I've seen people take an overdose of 6 milligrams, 8 milligrams, 10 milligrams on accident because they measured it wrong on the insulin syringe. They'd had a very shitty time, pun intended, for about 3 to 4 days before they could even eat food. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. This is very powerful stuff. Nausea, we're looking at 28% of people experienced it compared to 42 at the higher dose. Diarrhea, those are pretty close. Same with constipation, but vomiting, 10% of people compared to 25% of people. Dysthesia is 5% compared to 12%. I've had a couple clients have felt that experience before, but it's just like when your pant leg rubs up against your leg, you can feel some sensitivity, but that's about it. Only 4% of people dropped out of the study at the lower dose compared to 11%. The half-life and peak time of this drug. Half-life is about 6 days and the peak time is around 72 hours. After you take your first injection, 72 hours later, you're going to experience a peak and then it's going to slowly come down. About 6 days is when it's at its half-life, and then you take another dose to come back up on another peak. The reason why I changed my protocol to dose twice a week is because you have 2 peaks throughout the week, so you can maximize what you're able to get out of the drug and not get smacked as hard. If you have a 4 milligram dose once a week, that's going to be a really steep peak and you have a really high chance of experiencing side effects. Versus if you split that 4 milligram dose into Monday and Thursday, it's not going to be as steep of a peak and you're going to experience 2 peaks of the drug throughout the week. So you're maximizing the amount of effects that you're able to experience. And that's super important when we're talking about cutting the most amount of fat possible. So now time for the fun stuff. We're going to get into my protocol of what you could use this for. Applications for fitness, you could use this in a cutting phase. You could use it in a bulking phase and a health phase to improve your insulin sensitivity. The main reason why you would want to use this for a cutting and a fat loss phase is you're going to have complete control over your appetite, and it's like nothing you've ever experienced before. I have taken every drug under the fucking sun for fat loss. Clen, ephedrine, caffeine, aspirin, the ECA stack, you name it, T3, T4. I've taken everything, and there is nothing like retatrutide that gives you complete control over your hunger, over your appetite. It removes so much mental noise in your head because of that constant hunger signal that you have. A lot of my clients, they are business owners and blue collar workers, but it makes it very easy to mentally focus because you're not always thinking about food and you're able to get so much more work done. The way that I have my protocol set up is 2 injections per week, anywhere from 0.5 milligram up to 8 milligram weekly. 8 is the absolute cap. Okay, we're not going higher than 8. You're going to get side effects after that point. Now, a cutting phase is going to last anywhere between 12 to 16 weeks. For bodybuilding purposes, that's anywhere from 16 to 32 pounds of fat. If we're looking at the ultimate goal, losing 1 to 2 pounds of body weight per week. Okay. So if you have more than 32 pounds of fat, that's a significant cut. We need to do some work, and that's totally okay. If you're here, you're taking a look at this video and you need help with that, we could get you on a program, but it's going to be longer than 16 weeks and we're not going up to 12 milligrams. We're staying around that 6 to 8 milligram range for a longer period of time to maximize what we can get out of it. But for bodybuilding purposes, most of you guys, you have maybe 20 pounds of fat to lose to get crazy shredded. So week 1, you're splitting your dose up between 0.5 milligram Monday and Thursday. So 1 milligram total for the week. During this week, you're really just assessing how well that you can tolerate the compound and see what's going on. This is just a week of taking a look at what you experience. The second week is upping your dose to 1 milligram Monday and Thursday. So it's 2 milligram total. As a side note, I need to make this very clear. You need to keep an eye on your hormone levels. If you are natural, they are going to crash if you cut your calories too hard. If you are in a calorie surplus, let's say you're at 2,800 calories, 3,000 calories, and then you just drop it to like 1,500 calories when you hop on Retta because you can't physically eat food because your hunger's gone, your testosterone's going to crash 100%. Okay, so if you're enhanced, you're able to drop your calories that low. Like if we're just doing an aggressive ass cut, which I don't recommend, I recommend us taking this at a slow pace over a longer period of time. But if you were like, okay, we need to drop as much fat as possible, we need to drop to 1,800 calories for a short amount of time, you're able to do that on testosterone because it's going to help you maintain that muscle compared to somebody that's natural. The only reason that you should be increasing your dose is if the weight loss is stopping and it's stalling. If you notice week by week, if you're at the same poundage, then you need to up the dose a little bit. And that's okay. And that's how you can determine to go up. But just because a protocol has this written out of, okay, after 4 weeks, I need to increase it by 2 milligrams. No, maximize what you're able to get out of the drug because you're going to build up a tolerance to it. And I'd rather you take it slow than try to increase the dose and get more side effects. And that's what most people do. And that's where they fuck up. If you cannot eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, you need to drop the dose or you're going to lose muscle. This drug will make you not eat. It's going to be extremely difficult if you are going up too quickly. You're going to go 3 days without eating maybe 1,000 calories. That's what happened to me too. I went off of cookie cutter protocols, dosing super high, super quick, increasing it too quickly, and I experienced the load of side effects. So I went through this so you don't have to, just keeping that in mind. In a bulking phase, the main reason why you would take Retta is to prevent the dirty bulk. You're going to have a stronger control on your appetite for your cheat days, so you're not going absolutely just ape shit. You're not going to have a bunch of binge eating. You're going to have that cleaner, leaner bulk look. Stick to 1 injection per week, anywhere from 0.5 milligram up to 1 milligram weekly. You're going to improve your blood work and you're not going to have the binging. That's something that you can fall into when you're trying to gain weight is you'll be like, oh, I could just add in some extra calories that are a bit dirty. That's where you get the excess fat. If you want to take this for longevity purposes, you most definitely can. There are many people that stay on this for 1 to 3 years and have amazing results. They see their blood work improve. They have complete control over their appetite, below 10% body fat. If you are in that range and you want to keep it pretty easily, you would just dose once per week, 1 milligram to 2 milligrams. The only problem that people run into is when they're in a muscle building phase. If you are eating 6 meals a day, let's say you're 3 meals in, you still haven't gone to the bathroom, that's going to be a problem. You need to be able to eat your food, digest it, and then clear it for your next meal to be able to absorb the next one. But for longevity purposes, long-term 1 to 2 milligrams, you'll definitely be in golden waters. Now for side effect management, this is one of the absolute keys to understanding this compound. You can get a list of side effects from this drug, like I mentioned, especially in the higher doses, which we're going to stay away from. Now, that's not going to go without saying that you're still going to experience some nausea. That's for sure going to happen. You either need to eat smaller meals, avoid greasy foods or heavy foods, eat slower, use bland foods, and stay hydrated, or just hold the dose if it gets too strong. When I ran it, I didn't experience crazy vomiting because when I went up in dose, I would just hold off before my next dose. People are obsessed with sticking to these cookie cutter protocols of, okay, I have to increase my dose this week because that's what the paper says. No, you need to go by how your body feels. You need to see how your tolerance is with this drug. One of the biggest things that I experienced was acid reflux and the burping. This is caused by spicy, fatty, or fried foods. I wasn't having a lot of fried foods, but I had a lot of spicy foods, and that was wrecking me. I could feel it come up in my throat. Carbonated drinks are just killing me. I like to drink Diet Cokes and some energy drinks, and that was just absolutely wrecking me. So I cut that out completely, and it helped significantly. I use some antacids too. For diarrhea, a lot of my clients don't get it because we're able to dose super slow and super low. The only reason why I got it when I was first experimenting with the drug is because I was starting at 2 milligram and then I increased to 4 milligram. I fucked around and found out, so you don't have to. As long as you stick to my protocol, your side effects are going to be very, very manageable. But if you do experience diarrhea, increase your water intake, use electrolytes, and avoid trigger foods. If you eat something and you notice that you get diarrhea after, change your diet or take note of it and keep your meals super simple. Don't overcomplicate stuff and don't put spicy stuff on your meals. For fatigue and weakness, this is one of the most common ones that I see posted online about people bitching for side effects. Where they're like, oh, my hair is falling out or whatever. It's because they're not eating. These people are straight up starving themselves. They're not like us that are lifestyle guys guys that are bodybuilders, that go to the gym regularly, that are actually keeping track of their foods, their macros, they know what's going in their mouth. A lot of people taking this drug are severely overweight. They don't have 30 pounds of fat to lose. They have 60, they have 100, they have 200 pounds of fat to lose. When they take this drug, especially in the higher doses, they can't eat. So they're eating like 1,000 calories a day. Their hair starts to fall out because of malnutrition. So the side effects aren't coming from the drug in that aspect. It's mainly coming from not eating. As long as you stick to your diet and you're able to eat protein 1 pound per body weight, you're going to be okay. I just want to make that very, very clear when it comes to the fatigue and weakness is you have to keep up with your diet. You can't just assume that you cannot eat and nothing bad's going to happen, especially if you're natural. Your hormones are going to crash. For constipation, my clients don't seem to get it because we have the diets just dialed in. We have enough fiber in the diet. For the tingling and burning sensation that I was talking about earlier, where people like their pant leg rubs up against their leg, I personally never got this side effect. I've had maybe 2 people that have told me they felt a little bit weird, but it eventually just went away as they kept increasing the dose. In a smaller group in the human studies, there was note of increased heart rate, but it eventually started to die out over time. So if you do experience it, you really have to be like, okay, is this retatrutide or is this the 300 milligrams of caffeine that I slammed this morning in a Bang energy drink? Since you really got to figure out like what's really the cause here. There might be some other factors at play. Some red flags to be aware of. I know that 0.5 milligrams is not going to make you vomit. I know for a fact, okay? I put enough people on this peptide where I have enough data to understand that. Now, if you think that you did 0.5 and you actually did 4 milligrams or 6 milligrams for your first dose, you're going to be fucking hating life. You're going to be throwing up projectile for 2 days, 3 days. You're going to be severely dehydrated. You're going to be grabbing your stomach in fucking pain. I know this. I've seen people on Reddit do it. It's terrible. Like all they had to do was just measure correctly and do the research to get help, especially if they don't know what they're doing. Pay someone to help you with this. Don't just take it into your own hands and be like, okay, I'm going to try this, because there are consequences. If you go to the hospital, there is nothing that they can do for you but just give you an IV and keep you hydrated. That's all that they could do, because the drug is in your system. It has a 6-day half-life. So you're basically just stuck at that point. And you're going to lose a ton of weight. That could be a good thing if you look at it that way, but that's about it that you can get from it. So if you have like super dark urine, chest pain, fainting, persistent rapid heart rate, none of those should be ignored, and you should go to the hospital. Like I said, there's not a whole lot that they could do, but just give you IVs and wish you good luck, give you some medications for the dehydration, and try to get stuff moving through your stomach. Now for my client results, some of the best ones that I've had, like Jeremy, he did a fucking amazing job. He had a pretty decent frame on him to begin with, but like I said earlier, most guys, they have 20, 30 pounds of fat to lose before they're just absolutely diced and shredded. He looks like a completely brand new person. Same thing with Alberto. He went from 200 pounds down to 160. I lost 20 pounds in 90 days. Both these transformations were around 90 days as well. It's crazy what this drug is able to do, but the one thing that everyone fucks up on is when they come off. When they come off cold turkey, that's where people absolutely blow it, okay? Your appetite will come back 10 times harder. You just didn't have an appetite for 3 months, and now it's going to come back and smack you in the face. And what are you going to do? You're going to go straight to the refrigerator and start plowing food. You're going to eat fast food. You're going to be able to do things that you weren't able to for the past 3 months. So you have to taper down slowly. Your appetite can slowly come back. You can develop your new eating habits, because ultimately, I feel like retatrutide is a lifestyle drug. It's currently being studied right now for helping people get off opiates, alcohol abuse. It has that effect while you're on it, where you're not wanting to drink, you're not wanting to party, you're not wanting to do all this, and you slowly come off of it and you're able to build up your new habits into your new life that you just developed over the past 3 months. You absolutely have to keep lifting and eating the same amount of protein as you had before, and slowly add your calories back in to get back up to maintenance, to where you can recomp and start to gain muscle out of your cut. That's the right way of doing it, man. Taper down your dose, start adding your calories, start developing your new lifestyle habits, and then slowly build up from there. Use this drug as a lifestyle drug to transition into a new life with better habits. For me personally, I loved drinking, I loved partying, I loved all of that. And this really helped me move on to better things. Like at the end of the day, the ultimate goal of Reta is to drop all the fat and be able to build muscle afterwards and keep the fat off. All right, guys, it looks like we're done with this guide today. So you have everything you could possibly need in this guide to be able to run retatrutide with minimal side effects. So if for some some reason you want some extra help with this and you need help with hormone optimization, the diet plan to be able to run with this, I have a link in the description. You could book a call with me and we'll go over some options, see how I'm able to help, and go from there. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next one.